Now, good morning, everyone. How are you on today? Fabrizio, now he's a judge. Judge Fabrizio flipped twice on a wrongful conviction. Now, Norberto Peets, he was finally declared innocent and released from a Bronx courtroom, a free man. The Supreme Court judge, Ralph Fabrizio, flip-flopped a second time after inquiries on the city. Now, prosecutors and defense lawyers had accused him of erratic behavior in other cases. But this judge finally, after flipping twice on this man's life on a wrongful conviction, were vacated on May 9th. He walked out of a courtroom Tuesday morning, May 9th. But see, last September, Peets, who was convicted of attempted murder and gun possession following a 1996 shooting, has lived in an odd judicial limbo. See, this is what I was saying to you all about in California. State Attorney Bonta doesn't want to see innocent people that's been wrongfully convicted going through bureaucracy and a lot of legal litigation just to get them out of prison or, out of incarceration when they are truly innocent. And when it's been determined they're innocent, they should be released immediately. And that's something that he and his team in his department has been working on. And I've put some videos out there, or a video out there about that. And you can go and read that, listen to the video and everything on that, the write-up and everything on that. But this is the thing. This is a innocent man who was wrongfully convicted, and this judge flipped twice. He first, yes, no, yes, no. So Mr. Peets was stuck in this judicial limbo. Can you imagine the emotional ups and downs with this? Trauma and emotional up and down, stuck in an odd judicial limbo when you know that you're innocent and someone is flip-flopping back and forth on your livelihood, your life. So he was in this judicial limbo, having his conviction vacated and then reinstated. It was vacated. Can you imagine being excited and your family think you're coming home, and then all of a sudden it's reinstated, and now you're, oh no, he's not coming. And that also causes problems and emotional trauma and things like that, and suffering and sorrow even more for his family. And he has children. And then now the judge comes back and, thank God, vacated again, this time for good. This time for good, though. So for the last 6 months that he's been going through, he says, I feel so painful because I thought it's never going to end. Can you imagine? It's never going to end. Is what Mr. Peets said. But see, you can think that, but you got to get past that in order to continue to have hope. Because even with the last video I did, that man spent all that time behind bars too, and he's 65 years old. And he said he had to forgive just to move forward so that he could have hope to fight this thing. It's too many people that have been wrongfully convicted, and there's a lot more behind prison walls. And if you think it can't happen to you or a family member or a friend or someone you know, you ought to rethink some things. And so at the center of this highly unusual seesaw, you know what a seesaw is? Remember, they don't hardly make seesaws anymore. You don't see them. But on the older playgrounds, when we were coming up as children, or I was coming up as children, there were seesaws. And he was on this seesaw. Bronx Supreme Court Judge Ralph Fabrizio, who presided over Peets' recent attempts to get out of prison and clear his name. See, you don't want to just get out of prison, but you want to clear your name as well. Because even if you get out, if your name hasn't been cleared and it still shows up in the system that you have this felony on you, that you committed this crime, you're going to have a hard rest of your life, even if you're outside. Because some people say they're never free. Even though they've gained their physical freedom, mentally they're still not free. And you want to have mental freedom. Even if you're behind prison walls, you got to be mentally free to endure being behind prison walls. So when you get out of prison, you're physically free. You got to be mentally free in order to regain your sense of self and reacclimate back into society so that you don't return back. You see what I'm saying? Because even if you was wrongfully convicted, you don't want to do things that will get you convicted for something you might be doing or done. So you don't want to have to return back. And that's why they talk about recidivism so much. And so here he is, an innocent man that been serving 26 years behind bars on a seesaw. And his name needs to be not just him physically getting out, but cleared also. And so Fabrizio, who was first appointed, this is the judge now, to the judiciary in 2001 by then Mayor Rudolph Giuliani. We all know who that is, right? Whether we met him in person or not, we've heard of him, we've read about him. He's been, in the news a lot, and all those things, right? He has also been the subject of complaints dating back to at least 2016 from at least 8 defense attorneys and prosecutors, according to interviews and confidential complaint obtained by the city. Here's how Pete's saga with Fabrizio on the Bronx courts unfolded. Let's take a look at this. Last September, Fabrizio vacated Pete's convictions and ordered him a new trial based on new investigations by his counsel, attorney's office that documented major missteps his original lawyer had made during his trial. But in January, after the Bronx District Attorney's Office announced it was not going to retry Pete's, the judge unilaterally reinstated the purged convictions, claiming he had failed to read the court record before making his initial decision. Wow, so unprofessional. Wow, dereliction of duty. That's what it sounds like, right? Dereliction of duty, because that's a key thing. You have got to read the court record before you make any initial decision. That you have to familiarize yourself with the court record. Wow. So on Tuesday, Fabrizio reversed himself yet again, revacating Pete's conviction and dismissing his original indictment, burying the case for good. Now, the dramatic turn of events came after Pete's attorneys asked New York's appellate division to block Fabrizio's backtracking, and after the city reached out to the judge for comment about his handling of the Pete's case, as well as about past complaints by at least 8 attorneys about his allegedly erratic and abusive behavior on the bench. We see a lot of abuse amongst district attorneys as well. And I'm not saying these particular district attorneys have done any wrongdoing or have any corruption behind them, but we know that happens a lot. We've seen it so recently for the last how many years, and it's really sad in certain cases, and in a particular big case, nationally known, internationally known, and known, national and international known. It's really sad, but we see so much, even with all of these men being released and their sentences vacated for wrongful convictions. We know that there was a lot of not just district attorney, corruption, but also with some of the police officers and the sheriffs bringing corruption into these cases to get a conviction, and people being paid off and things like that. And it's really sad. And when are they going to be held accountable? And so for these ones that are upset by this, not just the attorneys, but because you have a corrupt attorneys too. Y'all remember Michael Avenatti, and there's been other ones. But not only do you have that, but you also have these district attorneys that are complaining in this case as well, and how they have been treated. And I wonder if some of these figure because they can get away with stuff that they take on the actions of the judge so they can get their way and win cases as well, win convictions when someone is truly innocent and they're being railroaded, or they're being they've been lied on, and the evidence points to their innocent, but they still go ahead and charge them and prosecute them. And that's what's really sad about reading these cases. But I share these with you to let you know, because it's nothing new under the sun. And also we continue to see different things happening that leads up to these wrongful convictions. Because listen, as I'm sharing this with you on Monday afternoon, getting back into this, less than 3 hours after the city sent Fabrizio a detailed set of questions about the Pete's case and past complaints against him, the judge emailed the Bronx District Attorney's Office and Pete's counsel, notifying them that he had decided to dismiss the matter. Fabrizio, however, did not respond to the city's questions. Now check this out. The thing is, and in the cities, it's this article, whoever, the media and stuff like that. But check this out, though, is that he actually went on and made his decision, but he wanted it to just be a decision he made and business as usual, and nobody comes and questions him. This is Judge Fabrizio, because it's saying that he just decided he dismissed the matter, but they want some answers, on your corrupt behavior, on your flip-flopping twice on this man's life, and things like that. So on Tuesday, Pete's hearing lasted about a minute. You know what a minute is, right? A minute, when you can open up your mouth and close it, okay? Or even before you can close it, a minute. And the judge declared the case was dismissed and sealed. He sealed it and wished the 52-year-old man good luck. Can you imagine that? That's just how it is, right? Business as usual. That's just the way it goes. And so the people are like, we want some answers. So Mr. Pete said, I was waiting for this since I got arrested. Recalling the moment when Fabrizio said, case dismissed, I know it was going to happen one day. It finally happened today. It's over. Thank God. That means he had to, keep that hope alive, even though he said that, it didn't seem like it was going to happen, but he had to keep that hope alive. And so now this is where the judge backtracks. After 26 years behind bars, Peets walked out of his Fishkill, New York prison cell last September, about to be a free man, or so his family thought. This is where the trauma comes back, and it starts all over again, because here he thinking he's coming out. His family is waiting for him to be released, and then guess what happens? That day, Fabrizio released Peets and vacated his convictions for a 1996 shooting after the Bronx District Attorney's Office joined his legal team in a motion arguing that his original trial lawyer had failed to obtain a critical medical evidence and interview key witness that could have bolstered his argument that another man committed the shooting. And though it is a new day, my brother faces a long road ahead to rebuild his life, Pete's younger brother wrote in a public GoFundMe appeal that November, describing the family's joy at reuniting with a man who was locked away from his two children, young children, when he was just 26 years old. So he had two young children when he was 26 years of age. And imagine when the judge turns around and flip-flops the first time, when they thought he was going to be coming out and he didn't come out. But now this time he is out. He's a free man. He's outside. He's physically free. But he's still not emotionally and mentally free, because now he has to try to rebuild his life, coming out probably with little to nothing, because he's been locked up so long. So they have a GoFundMe. His younger brother put up a GoFundMe, and I actually went to the GoFundMe, and they're trying to raise money for him to, to at least have money to get a coat, because it's cold there. He doesn't even have a coat, a coat, just to try to reestablish himself, get some clothes, a coat, maybe even a little money in his pocket, and even money maybe for car fare to go look for a job if he's able to do that. It is a lot that happens, when it comes down to these wrongful convictions and, of innocent people. And it takes a lot to rebuild your life back. And in that requires money. It requires a monetary offering or giving. And so if you all want to give to this, the article I will put up, you guys can, you can go to the article. You can go to the article. I'll put it down there, and whoever wants to give, I don't know who you are. I'm just saying, if you feel God touches your heart in that way to help the man at least get a coat. Yes, he does have a family, but we don't know what their financial situation is and whatnot. But in a case like this, I'm just sharing that with you. So please don't kill the messenger, because we have a lot of GoFundMes out here for a whole bunch of stuff. But they're saying that this is the younger brother put this up, and there is money people have given to it, and I'm just saying, so if you choose to do that, the article will be there. You can go through the article and and things like that, and it'll let you know about the GoFundMe and why they're raising the money. I actually went to it and I read it, and so And so that's how I knew about it. But anyway, unlike many exoneration campaigns, the district attorney's office had actually supported Peets' attorney's motion to vacate the conviction. Both sides agreed that the performance of his original attorney had been so deficient that his constitutional right to the effective assistance of counsel had been violated. And that's another thing, you know, that we need to be watchful of and speak out against, because we realize in this big case, you know, that was with Mr. Kelly, as I was saying, you know, this major international and national case, his counsel was deficient too, and his constitutional rights were violated, and it was a right. He didn't have a right. His right to effective assistance of counsel had been violated also, when we look at that whole situation, you know, and stuff like that. And so, you know, that is grounds for a release from prison. Right there alone is a grounds for release of prison, when there is a deficient you know, in the original counsel, when there is a deficient you know, and ineffective assistance of counsel, you know, your constitutional right has been violated in that case, and he should be let out alone on that. But there's a lot of different things too in that case. So I you know, I'm not an attorney. He has an attorney, Miss Bonjean. She's doing a fabulous job, you know, and God has appointed her. I do believe that, and so let her do her job. So I'm just saying, you know. And at a hearing on the day of the initial Vatican, Risa Gerson, chief of the Bronx District Attorney's Office Conviction Integrity Bureau. We, you know, integrity is supposed to be, you know, somebody operating with moral values, good moral values, honesty, integrity. Office Conviction Integrity Bureau noted that these failures were not mere legal technicalities. She said they undermined the district attorney's faith in the validity of the original conviction altogether. And this is what needs to happen. We need people to speak out on behalf of the situation with R. Kelly when it comes down to it, right? And Bonjean is doing, again, a good job, and she's speaking out. But we want somebody even like this. Look, the Integrity Bureau, okay? Conviction Integrity Bureau. I'm thinking of Conviction Integrity Bureau. We need folks to speak out, and so they can get the message out there, because there's some folks out here that don't want to believe of wrongful convictions. They don't want to believe that innocent people do go to prison and they haven't did anything wrong and they haven't broken any laws. We have some folks out here that's just really on the back of the bus. They under a rock, they on the slow bus, whatever. They just ain't willing to understand. But when it happened to them or a family member, or maybe it's already happened and they just haven't forgiven and they bitter and they haven't been able to move forward, so they believe everybody is guilty just because the prosecutors or the court say or the jury finds them guilty, doesn't mean that they're guilty. Because a lot of times we've seen the case. That's why I bring you these cases. People, you know, in the judicial system, officers of the court withholding information, suppressing evidence, all types of stuff. Okay, so when counsel does not do his job and investigate cases, investigate medical evidence that can show the defendant was not the person who was the perpetrator, we lose confidence in the reliability of the conviction, Gerson told the court. And so we do lose confidence in the reliability of the conviction. And we knew that the conviction with even Mr. Kelly, it was unreliable. Let's just tell the truth. It was unreliable. And that's where we wind up not just losing confidence in the reliability of the conviction, but we lose confidence in the court system. And that's big, when there's no confidence in the court system. So several weeks later, the Bronx District Attorney's Office declared it was not going to retry the 52-year-old, pointing to major problems in the prosecution's case. Major problems. We see that, don't we? We see that. Both sides of the courtroom were ready to let Peets move on with his life, but Fabrizio was not. So in January, in response to the Bronx District Attorney's attempt to drop the charges, Fabrizio issued an order that legal experts say is almost unheard of. He vacated his own vacation of Peets' conviction. So that's why he flipped. He vacated and vacated his own conviction of Peets. And the court did not review the record, Fabrizio wrote, accusing Gerson of omitting crucial information in legal filings and complaining that she never provided him with a trial transcript. Lord have mercy. Fabrizio also chastised Gerson for failing to correct Peets' attorney's claims about a key piece of evidence in the case, a bullet fragment that they characterized as being bloody. Peets' counsel did this in part because a detective on the stand affirmed that the fragment had blood on it in Peets' first trial, which ended in a mistrial. This is some mess, you all. This is messy, dereliction of duty, corruptness. I mean, just really not even reading the court record, the trial transcript, all of this. So in January reversal, however, Fabrizio did not mention this original testimony and seized on the fact that at his second trial, the same detective testified in a more circumspect manner, quoting that the bullet was coated in a red substance consistent with the color of blood. Not saying that it was blood on it, it was just coated in a red substance with the consistency of blood, the color consistent with the color of blood. Now, after declaring that its initial ruling was made based on errors of and omissions of fact, Fabrizio reinstated Peets' convictions and called for a new hearing. That stunning reversal prompted a court petition last month from Peets' attorneys at the Innocent Project and Paul, Weiss, Rifkin, Wharton, and Garrison LLP, asking the appellate division to block Fabrizio's attempt to resurrect the conviction. So in the petition, Peets' counsel disputed Fabrizio's attempted factual objections and suggested the jurors was exceeding his legal authority because of his own personal feelings. So there was the Innocent Project, of course, involved. And thank God they're continually getting exposure, the Innocent Project, to help, these wrongful convictions. Now, Justice Fabrizio's January order and March order appear to be rooted in frustration that the people are not moving to retry Mr. Peets, and that frustration appears to drive his judicial overreach, they wrote. So this judge Fabrizio was overreaching. And so Peets was scheduled to have a hearing before Fabrizio later this month, but that hearing was preempted after the judge suddenly informed his counsel on Monday that he was willing to dismiss the case, which happened hours after he faced questions from the city. And that's the thing, too. When you look at what's going on here, look at Kimberly Fox. She's not running for office again, but look at all the bad that she did do and didn't do the right thing. And, and they just want to go on as business as usual. But, you've already tainted. You've already showed corruption. You've already showed who you really are. And when you show who you really are and God shows us the truth, because remember, God is exposing all this stuff. He's continually exposing stuff, right? He's exposing stuff. And look, in all these other videos I've shared with you all about these wrongful convictions, God started to reveal. He always is going to reveal in his time, right? He can do it suddenly, but he's always going to reveal stuff. And in this case, he revealed it. Just like with Kimberly Fox, he revealed everything that we already said, but God has some time to show us. See, that's the thing. Sometime in order for people to believe, God has to show them folks. See, when we talk about it and show people and share stuff, it's hard for them. But when God starts reveal the real truth and it comes out and he appoints someone, he sends a messenger, he appoints someone, then that's when some people want to believe it. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say when God shows you who a person is, believe God. I say that a lot, and I say it for a reason, because God will expose people. And if people don't believe man, they'll believe God a lot of times. Some people don't believe God, but a lot of people they'll be like, you know what? If God said it, I believe it. But if man said, I ain't believing that, even though the truth is right in front of these people. The truth has been here for so long. With a lot of the case of R. Kelly, the truth has been there. I mean, with this other stuff too, before these people was even convicted, the truth was there. But they got away with it. But look now, people have suffered years on end, and look what's happening. This man suffered 26 years behind bars, and now look. So after Peets' case was dismissed in a swift hearing on Tuesday morning, Peets' daughter, Johanil Peets, 29, criticized Fabrizio's conduct in the case. Rightfully so. She said, it made no sense for us to keep coming back and forth. See that? And you making a decision based on emotion, she said. See, that's very unprofessional. You did it on emotion instead of on the law. And that's a really bad thing. He should be unbenched. How many of you agree he should be unbenched? When this video is over, leave it in the comments. He needs to be unbenched. You don't need to be up there. You're not doing your job. And if they don't unseat you or unbench you or whatever, you probably going to go back to traffic court and maybe you can handle traffic tickets better than that. This is ridiculous. And his bar license, there needs to be a complaint filed with the, with the bar. It needs to be a complaint. So today, she said, referring to the judge. So today was probably the first day that he was like relaxed. Wow. So Pete said he was looking forward to getting to know his 2 kids and his 2 grandchildren better. He has grandkids. So it says he wanted to play ball with his grandson. He said they started playing ball the other day, Pete said, grinning as his family members and legal team stood with him outside the Bronx Hall of Justice. Can you imagine just wanting to play ball with your grandkids? If you have grandkids and just want to play ball, sad. It's sad that this is what people are going through, these wrongful convictions. And so in April 2016, a prosecutor submitted a complaint to Bronx District Attorney Darcel Clark, accusing Fabrizio of being verbally abusive, refusing to allow prosecutors to make a proper record during hearings, and consistently attacking the integrity, ethics, and character of prosecutors, according to a copy of the complaint obtained by the city. You know, this right here, refusing to allow, and see, insert in the R. Kelly case, insert refusing to allow his defense team. Insert what you know about that. To rightfully defend his client. In that case, with the R. Kelly thing. There's a lot we can take from this particular case. You know what I'm saying? So the complaint included an attachment accounts of 14 alleged courtroom incidents going back to 2008 from at least 6 current and former Bronx prosecutors, all of whom claimed that Fabrizio had screamed at or repeatedly interrupted them. Some also claimed he threatened to jail or fine them. And you remember when the Me Too movement judge, you know who she is if you've been following me. Remember when she, I think, reprimanded Canick? When he was just doing his job? So in one case from 2008, an assistant district attorney unnamed in the memo claimed that Fabrizio threatened to fine them or hold them in contempt of court of a clerical error that turned out to be the fault of the district attorney's support staff. Now, in another instance from 2014, a female prosecutor who has since left the office alleged that Fabrizio subjected her to a 45-minute tirade in which he chewed her out for a plea offer that she had not even come up with herself. There is a culture of some abusive male judges getting away with whatever they want, the former female prosecutor told the city in an interview, speaking on the condition of anonymity. She was kind of prosecutor friendly, so if you could tolerate the abuse, ultimately he would rule in your favor. Now, in this case right here, we were seeing a female judge, right? We see female judges siding with these Me Too movement, trials. Now, Fabrizio's conduct, the complaint argued, raised the possibility that the jurors had violated the court's judicial conduct rules, which hold that judges shall be patient, dignified, and courteous to attorneys and must accord attorneys the right to be heard according to law. There's so much in this we could break down, right? Ooh, wow, to compare, I mean, this right here, that's why I said God always exposes. Wow. But by 2020, the Bronx prosecutor who had filed the original complaint internally had left the office and did not feel any change had come from his complaint. So that year, the former prosecutor submitted another complaint and the original attachment with the 14 alleged courtroom incidents to the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct. Yeah. The right to be heard. Shutting it down, not wanting the information to get out there, right, in that trial. So anyway, in the new complaint, the former prosecutor recounted a conversation with Clark's then counsel Joseph Dawson, a former judge, after submitting the memo internally. During our meeting, after relaying my concerns, Judge Dawson stated in sum and substance, I've known Raph for a very long time. This is Judge Fabrizio. We used to work together in the Manhattan DA's office. He's a good guy. He just has a bit of a temper. When I asked if anything was going to be done about this apparent long-standing and widespread pattern of abusive conduct, Judge Dawson said that he would speak to the DA about it. I never heard anything about it again. Dawson did not respond to requests for comments. The complaint included 5 named current and former prosecutors and was addressed to Clark herself as the district attorney. Even so, a spokesperson for Clark, Patrice O'Shaughnessy, said the office was unable to identify the relevant materials from the former prosecutor. Prior to becoming district attorney, Clark served alongside Fabrizio for several years as a court in Bronx Supreme Court. Now you see what she's saying? She's trying to say that she's unable to identify the relevant material from the former prosecutor. See how they cover stuff up? So in a statement, a spokesperson for the New York Commission on Judicial Conduct, the state's official judicial watchdog, noted that no public disciplinary action has been taken with respect to Judge Fabrizio. In recent months, at least one other authority was looking into Fabrizio. Around January, a public defender in the Bronx told the city that she met with Comas Grant, an investigator for the Office of Court and Administration Inspector General, who interviewed her in an office in downtown Manhattan about Fabrizio, following up on what he said was an anonymous complaint. The Bronx public defender said she told the Inspector General's office that she had witnessed Fabrizio storming off the bench in the middle of court arguments and remanding a defendant to Rikers Island after he refused to take a plea deal. I told him that he acts crazy all the time, that he doesn't listen, he acts erratic. She said, recalling the interview, you never know who you're dealing with. You never know what's going on. You know, that's really sad. It's almost like, you know, this mental disorder, and he's on the bench. He shouldn't be on the bench. And it says Grant hung up on the city when asked for comment in a phone call. In a statement, Lucianne Shelfin, a spokesperson for the court system, declined to provide information about the apparent probe. Inspector General investigations are confidential, he said. Unless there is a finding or the allegation is substantiated, we do not discuss whether or not there was an investigation or complaint made. In the light of the complaints, Oded Oren, a former Bronx defender, staff attorney, and founder of Scrutinize, a judicial accountability organization, called on court authorities to take immediate action. Based on the allegations of repeated abusive behavior and improper conduct, OCA administrators should immediately remove Judge Fabrizio from the position of acting Supreme Court Justice, he said, noting that Fabrizio was not elected to the position and that court administrators could return him to his previous position in criminal court, which handles misdemeanor cases. Didn't I say that? Then maybe if he doesn't get unbenched or unseated, that he should go and handle traffic tickets. Didn't I say? And they're saying misdemeanor cases because he was not elected. So therefore, they need to move him. See, when you get elected, you have to be voted out, right? You know, when they hold the election for judges and prosecutors and things like that. But in this case, he wasn't even elected. They put him in that position. So he just needs to be moved right on back to these misdemeanor cases. I agree with that. Get him out of that courtroom because this is some abusive stuff going on. Dereliction of duty is reckless, is raggedy, is insensitive. He is not doing his job, and it is time to hold these judges accountable when there is problems in the courtroom. And you know, the Me Too movement need to be held, judge need to be held accountable too. I stand on that. I won't take that back. But some courthouse sources told the city they want Fabrizio to stay where he is, arguing that his approach helps cases progress. Not if he's not doing what's right. No, absolutely nada. So certainly there are attorneys, defenders, and ADAs who would be happy if he was gone, said a current Bronx prosecutor who spoke on the condition of anonymity. But I don't think that would be best for the criminal justice system because of the fear people have of him. He does actually move the calendar. Yeah, but you know what? He should do his job correctly. So no. See, this is the problem here. When you are afraid of someone, you feel that they should stay in a position even when they're doing wrong and unethical things and immoral things and not following the law and just doing whatever. No. I disagree with that. But you all leave your respectful comments below. Let me know what you think about this. Tell me, did you find out some pointers out of this article I shared with you that you can relate to the R. Kelly trial, his cases? Did you catch some things in that? Like I said, the article will be is going to be in the description box, and I'll actually put it in the comments so you guys, the article, so you can actually click on it in the comment section. And then You can see where I was sharing about the GoFundMe if you wanted to give to that, whoever you may be, whoever you may be. I look at it like that. But anyway, leave your respectful comments below. Let me know what you think. Let's get the conversation started, this discussion started about what you think about this. And God bless you all on today, and I hope you have a beautiful day.